Hello YouTube, Marielle here. In my last video I spoke about how I made myself extremely vulnerable to my husband's narcissistic agenda. And today though I would like to elaborate a little bit more about how he used our children to gain access to my mind and my heart, and does what he does best. Quite a lot of my videos are going to talk about my children, because that's really where most of the abuse and the manipulation and the mind games really took place. My children became very much the epicenter of that storm. And looking back now, I realize that my husband did try a lot of different techniques and things with me that really did not work. But with the children, it almost impossible not to react or not to notice or not to feel. And so I will be exploring that issue as much as possible. But here are some of the techniques that I've been able to identify so far. One is avoidance, or avoidance of intimacy and familiarity to a certain extent. Even I remember my daughter was very small and she did mention something. We were all at the table and the kids were, being silly and making jokes and saying things, and I was smiling and going along with them, playing along with them and encouraging their silliness. And then my husband mentioned that he'll never do that, or he'll never talk, tell such jokes or say something like that. And my daughter at the time, she said, "Oh, but Daddy, it's okay. Because it's okay if you joke like that or if you mention that. We are family." Those are tiny little things that at the time it meant so little to me, and now that I know and understand, I realize that even my daughter did pick up on those tiny little things long before I did. But I'll try not to get carried away. The second technique he's used with us is starving us of his time, his affection, on purpose. Third, it's been to put temptations in our path constantly. Fourth is the opposite of positive reinforcement. I've heard a lot of, I'll call them guru or specialists, that gone on in different documentaries and different documentaries I've watched. Specialists help parents to communicate with their children, or to discipline their children, or to make a bad situation better through the use of positive reinforcement. Well, my husband, instead of positive reinforcement, he's been using negative reinforcement in our family. And the last techniques that he's used with us is with my children, is the reward system after a bad behavior. They say familiarity breeds contempt. Well, for my husband, preventing familiarity was necessary to keep me in the dark, to keep me from making sense of things. And it's his way as well of keeping the illusion alive. And it was very easy to do with him because of him traveling a lot. And also in my case, with my husband, this technique of being present but not being around but still not being present, and his job taking him away from us very often, really formed the basis as well from which the abuse could almost like take roots and thrive, really. Second technique I talk about, the second technique is to starve us of his time and affection. Well, the way this worked with us is with him not being here all the time, it meant that his time, it's almost like he elevated, or his time and in his affection became a very expensive real estate or commodity kind of thing. And with that in mind, it meant that whenever he came, whenever I arrived, you know, we were just so happy. We missed him so much. We became he was golden. He could do nothing wrong and he could say nothing wrong. And even if he did, because that time spent with him is so precious, it's easy to disregard very quickly, what you see, because there is no time to waste. But slowly over the years, I noticed even when he spent substantial amount of weeks with us, there was always this lingering emotional void. Like there is a hunger for him that just never got satisfied. And come to find out, my narcissistic husband created this void intentionally to make us more susceptible to his manipulations, and make us deliriously happy to accept whatever scraps of his time he was finding fit enough to give us. Then really all he had to do when he came, it was just to, every time he gave us that tiny little bit of his time and attention, he'll throw a little gift here and there, and et voila. Oh, shall I say, ta-da! The magic trick was complete, and the rest of us will deceive ourselves into thinking that he loves and adore us with minimal input on his part. And that's very key, because yes, they're lazy. They don't really put that much work into the relationship. They cut corners. It's incredible now to realize that there is very, very little true work put into the relationship. Even with the children, they cut corners. And they're so absent at the same time that you just can't help yourself but be grateful and thankful for the little crumbs they give you. My husband totally ignored our children until 5 to 6 years ago, when they became teenagers. Until then, he just had no use for them. The third technique he employs is the temptation, and that was to with the children is to tempt them into disobeying me, lying to me, and finally dismiss me. I suspect that was easy for him, since he's a pro at assessing people and situation and making it work to his own advantage. Don't feel badly of me, but I can't help thinking that the technique he used is very similar to pedophiles when they groom their young victims and lure them away from safety and their families. All he has to do first is pose like a good friend and a confidant. And if you watch my previous video, you would have heard me mentioning how the three of them will always be whispering. And then when I come into the room, everybody is quiet, because he had already established that that habit of, you can come to me with anything, you can tell me everything, and he had become the children's confidant. Then the next thing he does is to find out exactly, from my own naive mouth at the time, to find out exactly what I don't want to give the children, or what I don't tolerate, or what I will not allow in the house. And with those information, the stage was set. He knew exactly what to do to seduce the kids, because that's exactly what he does. He seduces them by giving them exactly what now he knows I'm against, I don't like, or I don't allow, but the kids are desperately wanting that very thing. This is how he's always opposed me, by doing the opposite that I ask of him, and by pushing the kids as well to do exactly the same. I suppose at first it was a case of, for the children, that by giving the children exactly what they wanted, to the children's, he became, daddy, super extra nice in their eyes, and that will make me automatically in comparison the bad guy, no matter what I did. And because the children knew mommy would not like that at all, so their mind will tell them, you probably try to rationalize that daddy, only goes against mommy's wishes because daddy loves us so much and he just wants to make us happy, whereas mommy does not want to make us happy, but daddy does. Daddy loves us more than mommy. So I'm pretty sure the children resisted him a lot at the beginning, and I'm pretty sure that he was extremely insistent. And then eventually the kids gave in, and because he gave children and did all of those things behind my back, it worked on the children's mind in very different ways. The children felt probably guilty to put him in that situation, so that guilty feeling will probably first they probably felt guilty that they ended up accepting something from daddy that they know mommy doesn't agree with, but eventually they get sucked into it, into doing it. Then they feel guilty because daddy's putting himself, they think daddy's putting himself in a very difficult situation. So we have to protect daddy, so we're not going to tell mommy. This is going to be our little secret. And before they realized it, they got into this secret kind of pact with daddy. And by lying, by constantly getting into the habit of lying to me, and then it progressed, I'm sure, to them feeling comfortable with lying to me. And then I'm pretty sure after that it was a case of whenever I did find out, and I I would confront those behavior, or confront the lies, and do all of that, and them seeing that daddy never got upset at them, or daddy would cover for them, or daddy would protect them, or daddy would not say anything to them, that gave them the green light. In their mind, it was a case of probably several things, like, well, if daddy doesn't say anything, well, first, if daddy doesn't, does that, he does that because he wants us to be happy. Mommy doesn't want us to be happy. And then it's a case of, well, daddy is a good man, so if he does that, it means that it's not a big deal. It's not as bad as mommy makes it out to be. And as time goes by, it becomes a case of, well, we can carry on because she can't stop us. She can't do anything. She can't stop us. I mean, daddy's there for us anyway. Daddy's gonna protect us, and there's nothing she can do. And then slowly, I'm pretty sure the kids got comfortable enough to the point where me getting upset and me, going into those long things and trying to explain to them, listen, you don't do this, and an explanation. I'm sure eventually they thought I was funny. I'm pretty sure they thought that was funny. And they, without them realizing it, I guess they slowly probably started to take pleasure in seeing me getting upset and getting worried. And this is what that dance of creating problem just kept being built upon and recreated and repeated. It's just a real crazy assault of the mind. I mentioned that the fourth technique is negative reinforcement. Once the trust was established, the trust and that closeness was established between my husband and the children, my husband was able to truly manufacture problems now between me and the children, by using the children to do just about anything that he knew I was going to react to. And that will incite the kids, of course, to misbehave and disregard house rules. And please understand that me and my children, when my husband was away, the house was quiet. The children, sometimes, I have to admit, sometimes it took me quite a few weeks to calm them down and for things to just go back to normal. But after a while, they'll come down, and it's almost like a temperature. Literally, I could feel the the temperature, that's all I can say, that I can call that the temperature, would just basically slowly go down, and calm and peace will reign once more in the house. When every time my husband left, and when he came back, within a few days, really within a few days, the whole thing will start again. Even one of my children a few years ago did say that. My son actually did mention that he had noticed it. The fifth technique that my husband used a lot is the reward system. The reward system always happened not long after I've had an issue with the kids. The kids have done something, and which I had to address. And not long after, my husband will do something special for that child, or he'll find a way to act more close with that child, or he'll give the child something. Always. Please understand that at the time when those things were, this is something that my husband has done for years. And also my husband wasn't here very often. So when he did that, even when I understood that that was not right for him to do, it was still very hard for me to confront him about it, because we did not have enough of him. We did not spend enough time with him. So I would rationalize it as well. Probably the same way the children actually rationalize it. It's a case of, well, he's just trying to make the children feel better. And I couldn't, I could see there was something wrong with it. But at the same time, I did not want to get him to stop the behavior too much, because to me it was important that whenever he came, he would bond with the children in whichever way he could. And I did not want to stop that. And my 121 ways of rationalizing everything really, really put me in this very, very difficult situation. But again, I had no knowledge. I never thought my husband is a malevolent entity. I could not think that he had really, really, truly not only just bad intentions towards me, but towards the kids too. And he has an end game to all of this, which is to get to me and destroy me. Even as I say those words, destroy me, it feels unreal. I know in my mind that 1 + 1 = 2. But it's still hard to wrap my head around all of this. And if me, the adult, could not suspect him, could not see him for who he truly is, what chances did my children have? Those are young minds. What chance did they have? Or do they still have? What chance? They stand no chance. Do I even have a right to go and tell my children, watch out for your dad? Be very, very careful. He doesn't love you the way you love him. He will never love you. You are nothing more than a toy to him. A game. He will want to know all of your secrets. He'll want to know you completely and thoroughly so that he can play and see how good he is, how efficient he will be to take you down, to bring chaos into your life so that he can feel amused. How do I have even that conversation with my kids?